Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something right now. What would your life look like if you stopped settling for average and started chasing excellence? What if instead of living in survival mode, you stepped into becoming the best version of yourself? Because here's the truth. God didn't create you to live small. He created you to live significant. You were designed with purpose, with potential, and with power inside you. And today, I want to show you that you already have everything you need to become the person you were born to be. The journey of becoming the best version of yourself always begins with one powerful truth. Identity comes before achievement. Who you believe you are will always determine how you live, what you pursue, and what you're willing to fight for. If you see yourself as small, you will live small. If you see yourself as someone who is capable, worthy, and destined for more, you will begin to walk, talk, and act in alignment with that belief. The biggest limitation most people face is not the lack of opportunity, but the lack of vision they have for themselves. When you don't truly know who you are, you settle for less than what you were created for. But when you catch even a glimpse of your true identity, something awakens inside you that refuses to settle, refuses to quit, and refuses to let fear have the final say. Think about it. Every single action you take is a reflection of who you believe yourself to be. If you tell yourself you're not disciplined, you'll find excuses to avoid the gym, delay your goals, and procrastinate on your dreams. If you tell yourself you're not worthy of success, you'll sabotage opportunities because deep down you believe they don't belong to you. But the moment you change that identity, the moment you decide, I am a disciplined person, I am someone who deserves abundance, I am someone created with purpose, everything shifts. You don't wait for motivation, you operate from identity. You don't have to try to force yourself into action. Action becomes natural because you're aligning with who you already believe you are. Let me give you a hook here. The greatest prison people live in is the prison of their past. Too many people define themselves by their failures, their mistakes, or the labels others have placed on them. They think because they failed once, they are failures. Because they were hurt, they are broken. Because they made poor decisions, they are unworthy. But hear me, your past is not your identity. Your past is an event, not a definition. What you went through shaped you, but it doesn't have to limit you. The best version of yourself isn't held hostage by yesterday's story. It's written by the choices you make today. If you want to see how powerful identity is, look at anyone who made lasting change. Someone who smoked for 20 years and quit didn't just say, I'm trying to stop smoking. They said, I am not a smoker. That identity shift is what sustains change. If you want to build wealth, stop saying, I want to be rich someday, and start saying, I am a wealth builder. I am a steward of abundance. If you want to be fit, don't say, I'm trying to lose weight. Say, I am healthy, I am disciplined, I am strong, your identity sets the tone for your destiny. And here's the challenge. The world will always try to define you by what you've done. But God defines you by who you are becoming. The people around you may say, you're not enough. You'll never make it. You can't do this. But those voices don't get the final say unless you give them permission. You have the power to declare your own identity and live it into existence. Every time you affirm who you truly are, you are building the foundation for your future self. So I ask you today, who are you choosing to be? Because if you don't define your identity, life will do it for you. Stop waiting for proof before you believe in yourself. Belief comes first, results follow. Athletes don't wait until they win the championship to see themselves as champions. They see themselves as champions first, and that belief drives them to train, to sacrifice, and to fight for the crown. You don't wait until you're successful to see yourself as successful. You carry that identity now, and success becomes the byproduct. Here's the hook I want you to grab onto. Identity creates reality. If you want to change your reality, you have to change who you believe you are. You can't outperform the picture you carry of yourself in your mind. If the picture is too small, your life will shrink to fit it. But if you enlarge that picture, if you dare to see yourself as more, your life will rise to meet that vision. Becoming the best version of yourself starts with declaring who you are, believing it, and then living like it every single day. Transformation doesn't begin with what you have, it begins with what you believe. The truth is, your mind is the control center of your entire life. Every action you take, every word you speak, every habit you build is rooted in the thoughts you allow to dominate your mind. If your mind is filled with doubt, fear, and limitation, your life will be a reflection of that. But if your mind is renewed with vision, hope, and faith, your life begins to transform in ways you never thought possible. Most people try to change their circumstances without first changing their mindset, and that's why they end up back in the same place. You can't plant negative thoughts and expect a positive harvest. Here's the hook: your outer world is nothing but a mirror of your inner world. If you want to change what you see on the outside, you have to change what you believe on the inside. That's why developing a growth mindset is not just important, it's essential. A growth mindset says, I may not know how to do it yet, but I can learn. I may not have everything I need now, but I can grow into the person who does. The power of that one word, yet, can open the door to endless possibilities. Too many people shut themselves down with, I can't, when the truth is they simply haven't discovered how to do it yet. Think about it. Every invention that changed the world, every breakthrough that redefined what was possible, came from someone who refused to accept the limits placed on their mind. The Wright brothers didn't say, man was not made to fly, so it's impossible. They said, If we can figure out the laws of lift and drag, we can fly. Edison didn't say, 1,000 failures mean I'm not meant to succeed. He said, I found 1,000 ways that didn't work, but I only need one that does. What separated them was not intelligence, not resources, but mindset. They were relentless because they believed differently. Here's another hook to grab. The stories you tell yourself will either keep you small or set you free. If you keep rehearsing failure, rejection, and disappointment in your mind, you will walk into every opportunity already defeated. But if you start telling yourself a new story, one where you are capable, resilient, and destined for impact, then every obstacle becomes fuel, every setback becomes a lesson, and every challenge becomes an invitation to grow. A growth mindset doesn't eliminate challenges, it redefines them. Instead of saying, this is the end, it says, this is the beginning of my next level. Let me make this practical. If you want to become the best version of yourself, start by training your mind to see opportunity instead of limitation. That means guarding what you feed it. If all you consume is negativity, news that breeds fear, voices that tell you it's impossible, environments that drain your energy, don't be surprised when your life reflects that same negativity. But if you start feeding your mind with truth, wisdom, and possibility, you'll begin to see options where others see obstacles. You'll begin to take action others are too afraid to take. And here's the beautiful part, your brain is wired to grow. Neuroscience proves that your mind is not fixed. It can literally rewire itself through repetition and focus. That means no matter what your past has been, no matter what you've believed until now, you can choose a new thought, repeat it until it becomes natural, and watch as your life rises to match your new belief. Isn't that powerful? You don't have to stay stuck. You can renew your mind and recreate your future. The secret is to start small, but stay consistent. A single positive thought can be the seed of an entirely new reality. But just like a seed, it has to be nurtured, watered, and protected until it grows strong. That means speaking life over yourself daily, surrounding yourself with people who challenge you to rise higher, and refusing to give fear or doubt permanent residency in your mind. Every time you choose to believe in possibility instead of limitation, you are strengthening the muscle of your growth mindset. So let me ask you this. What are you choosing to believe about yourself today? Because the ceiling in your life is never the circumstance. It's the belief. Break the belief, and you break the ceiling. When you dare to believe that growth is possible, that your future is greater than your past, and that every challenge is just training for your next level, you unlock a life that most people never experience. That's the power of renewing your mind, and that's the gateway to becoming the best version of yourself. Success is not built in a day. It is built through the daily discipline of your actions. Too many people dream of transformation, but never align their habits with their desires. You can pray for change, you can hope for change, But until your actions start matching the future you say you want, nothing will shift. The truth is, habits are the invisible architects of your destiny. They are either pulling you closer to the best version of yourself or keeping you chained to the person you've always been. Every single day, your choices are casting votes for the type of person you are becoming. And here's the hook. It's not the big decisions that shape your life the most. It's the small ones you make consistently. Think about it. Waking up early to prepare your mind and body for the day doesn't just give you more time. It sends a message to yourself that your future is worth prioritizing. Choosing to read a book instead of scrolling mindlessly isn't just about gaining knowledge. It's about valuing growth over distraction. Taking the stairs instead of the elevator isn't just about exercise. It's about reminding yourself that effort leads to strength. These small, almost invisible choices compound over time. And before you realize it, they become the foundation of your identity. Habits are not what you do. They are who you are becoming. Here's another hook. You don't decide your future. You decide your habits, and your habits decide your future. People often look at successful individuals and think they must have had luck, resources, or connections. But if you peel back the curtain, you'll discover that their success is built on a system of consistent actions repeated over and over until excellence became inevitable. The musician who inspires millions wasn't born with mastery. They practiced daily until their gift became undeniable. The entrepreneur who built a thriving business didn't stumble into it. They created daily systems, made consistent calls, solved problems, and kept showing up when others quit. Now let's address the challenge. Building new habits feels uncomfortable at first. Your brain resists change because it craves familiarity. That's why when you try to start waking up early, your body fights to stay in bed. When you try to change your diet, when your cravings scream louder, when you try to exercise, your muscles complain. But that discomfort is not a sign you're failing. It's a sign you're growing. Every time you push through resistance, you are teaching your brain a new standard, raising the thermostat of what is normal for you. What was once difficult eventually becomes automatic, and what was once impossible becomes effortless. Here's a truth that will shift your perspective. Discipline is freedom. Most people think discipline is about restriction, but in reality, it is the key to liberation. If you discipline your mind, you are free from the prison of self-doubt. If you discipline your body, you are free from the chains of weakness. If you discipline your time, you are free from the chaos of wasted days. Discipline doesn't take life from you. It gives life to you. It creates a structure where your dreams have room to grow. Let me give you something practical. Choose one area of your life where you want to see change and start small. If you want better health, commit to 10 minutes of exercise a day. If you want more financial freedom, commit to saving $5 a day. If you want stronger faith or mindset, commit to reading or meditating daily. Don't underestimate the power of small beginnings, small habits, repeated consistently, create massive transformation over time. Remember, the oak tree was once a seed, and every great life was once built on small daily disciplines. Here's the hook that will keep you engaged. You already have habits right now. The only question is, are they building you or breaking you? Every day you either practice success habits or failure habits. Success habits move you closer to your goals. Reading, planning, exercising, investing, connecting with people who uplift you. Failure habits move you further away. Procrastination, overindulgence, negative self-talk, and wasting time. If you don't intentionally design your habits, your default habits will design a future you don't want. So ask yourself right now, what daily choices am I making that align with the person I want to become? If your habits are not in harmony with your vision, you will always live in frustration. But when your daily actions line up with your dream, momentum kicks in. And suddenly, progress feels natural. Success stops being an event you chase and becomes a lifestyle you live. And that is how habits and discipline elevate you into the best version of yourself. Quietly, consistently, powerfully, until one day you look in the mirror and realize you've become the person you always dreamed you could be. One of the most powerful forces in shaping who you become is the company you keep. You can have the greatest dreams, the most powerful vision, and the strongest desire, but if you are constantly surrounded by people who don't believe, who don't grow, who don't stretch themselves, eventually their voices will drown out your inner drive. Environment is stronger than willpower. You can want to move forward, but if your circle is standing still or moving backward, it becomes nearly impossible to rise. That's why choosing the right people around you isn't just optional. It's essential for becoming the best version of yourself. Here's the hook. If you show me your closest 5 friends, I can predict your future. Energy is contagious. Spend enough time with people who are negative, and you'll find yourself seeing problems instead of opportunities. Spend enough time with people who constantly settle for less, and you'll slowly start lowering your own standards. But on the flip side, when you surround yourself with people who dream big, who take bold action, who believe in possibilities, their energy ignites something inside you. You can't spend time around winners and not start thinking like one. Their conversations stretch you, their examples challenge you, and their presence pulls you to elevate your game. That's why the right relationships are not just friendships. They're accelerators to your destiny. Think about the seasons of your life when you grew the most. Chances are you weren't alone. You had someone who pushed you, encouraged you, or modeled what was possible. Growth rarely happens in isolation. Even the strongest leaders had mentors. Even the most gifted talents had coaches. Even the most successful entrepreneurs had teams. The myth of the self-made man or woman is just that, a myth. Every success story has fingerprints of people who sharpened, supported, or stretched them. The question is, who are the people sharpening you right now? And if no one is, maybe that explains why you feel stuck. Here's another hook. Every relationship in your life is either a lifter or a limiter. Lifters speak to the best in you. They see your potential even when you don't. They encourage you to keep going when you feel like quitting. Limiters, on the other hand, keep you tied to your past. They remind you of your failures. They minimize your efforts. They discourage your dreams. And if you spend too much time with limiters, you'll start believing their words over your vision. That's why you must be intentional. Don't just let anyone have access to your inner circle. Guard it. Protect it. Because the voices closest to you will always be the loudest in your life. Sometimes the hardest part of growth is letting go. You might have to distance yourself from people you love, but who don't align with where you're going. That doesn't mean you stop caring about them, but it does mean you stop allowing them to influence your direction. You can't soar with eagles if you're always scratching with chickens. You can't run your race if you're constantly tied to anchors. And here's the truth. When you remove the wrong people, you make space for the right ones. Don't fear losing relationships that no longer serve your growth. Fear staying stuck because you were too afraid to outgrow them. Let me make this practical. If you want to become financially successful, start spending time with people who manage money wisely, invest consistently, and build businesses. If you want to grow spiritually, surround yourself with people of faith who inspire you to trust God on a deeper level. If you want to improve your health, connect with people who value fitness and nutrition. The fastest way to elevate is to get around people who are already living where you want to go. Proximity creates possibility. When you're close to excellence, excellence starts to rub off on you. Here's the final hook. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You rise to the level of your circle. If you keep walking with people who talk small, think small, and live small, you will shrink your vision to fit their comfort zone. But if you walk with those who dare greatly, who risk boldly, who believe in abundance, you will find yourself stepping into a bigger version of yourself than you ever thought possible. Your environment is not neutral. It is either lifting you higher or dragging you lower. Choose wisely because your destiny depends on it. The truth about life is this: comfort is the silent killer of dreams. It whispers, "You're doing fine," when deep inside you know you're capable of so much more. It tells you, "Take it easy," when what you really need is to press harder, stretch further, and dig deeper. Growth never happens in the comfort zone. Growth always demands discomfort. And here's the hook. You will either experience the pain of discipline now or the pain of regret later, but one way or another, pain is part of the journey. The difference is that discipline leads to progress, but regret leads to despair. When you choose to step outside your comfort zone, you begin to see parts of yourself you never even knew existed. You discover strength that was hidden, courage that was dormant, and resilience that had been waiting for the right challenge to awaken it. Think about it. The first time you learned to swim, it wasn't comfortable. The first time you rode a bike, it wasn't comfortable. The first time you stood up to speak in front of others, it wasn't comfortable. But each of those moments of discomfort created new levels of confidence, new levels of ability, and new levels of growth. Everything great in your life started with something uncomfortable. Here's the reality: most people avoid comfort, feels good in the moment, but costs you everything in the long run. Discomfort feels painful in the moment, but pays you back with dividends that compound over time. When you take risks, when you stretch yourself, when you walk into the unknown, you gain experiences that build wisdom. You gain skills that increase your value. You gain courage that becomes part of your identity. Without discomfort, you never tap into your real capacity. You never become the person you were designed to be. Here's a hook to consider: the life you desire is hiding behind the fear you refuse to face. Think about it. The business you want to start is on the other side of risking rejection. The relationship you long for is on the other side of vulnerability. The financial freedom you crave is on the other side of discipline and delayed gratification. The healthiest version of yourself is on the other side of pushing past excuses. The door is locked only until you step into the discomfort required to open it. Once you walk through, you'll wonder why you waited so long. When you intentionally embrace discomfort, you begin to rewire your mind. What once scared you becomes normal. What once felt impossible becomes achievable. The first cold shower you take feels unbearable, but the 10th one feels invigorating. The first time you speak to a room of strangers feels terrifying, but the 10th time feels exhilarating. The first dollar you invest feels risky, but the 100th feels routine. Discomfort trains you. It sharpens you. It stretches you until what used to overwhelm you now feels like you're warm up. That's the power of stepping beyond the safe zone. You expand your capacity to handle life at higher levels. But let's be honest, discomfort never goes away completely. Every time you level up, there's a new challenge, a new risk, a new stretch. And that's good news. Because if it still feels uncomfortable, it means you're still growing. Too many people misinterpret discomfort as a sign they're doing something wrong, when in reality, it's proof they're doing something right. Discomfort is not your enemy, it's your ally. It's the signal that you're breaking through old patterns and stepping into new possibilities. Here's the final hook I want you to hold onto. Comfort might give you temporary peace, but discomfort gives you permanent progress. Every person you admire, every success story you've ever heard, every breakthrough that inspires you, it all came from someone who was willing to step into the uncomfortable. The question is, will you? Will you keep choosing the safe path that keeps you small, or will you dare to face the discomfort that unlocks your greatness? The best version of yourself is waiting, but you'll only meet them when you choose to leave the comfort zone behind. The most powerful transformation you will ever experience begins the moment you realize that becoming the best version of yourself isn't just about you. It's about the impact you create in the lives of others. True greatness is never measured by what you accumulate, but by what you contribute. You can build wealth, achieve success, and earn recognition, but if your life doesn't inspire and uplift others, then it's incomplete. Here's the hook. The best version of you is not the one who shines the brightest alone, but the one who lights the path for others to shine as well. Think about it. Every time you push yourself to grow, every time you step into your highest potential, you're not just changing your life, you're giving permission for others to do the same. A child watches a parent who refuses to quit, and that child learns perseverance. A friend observes another friend taking bold risks, and suddenly they feel braver. A team sees their leader step forward with courage, and it ignites confidence in them too. Your growth creates ripples that extend far beyond what you can see. The impact of your transformation may outlive you, influencing generations to come when you aim to become the best version of yourself. It demands that you think bigger than personal comfort. It demands that you align your purpose with contribution, because success without significance leaves you empty, but success with impact leaves a legacy. And here's the truth. You don't have to be on a stage. You don't have to be famous. You don't even have to be wealthy to make a difference. Sometimes the best version of yourself is revealed in the way you show kindness to a stranger, the way you encourage someone on the brink of giving up, or the way you model discipline and faith when life tests you the hardest. The hook is simple. You will never know how many lives you change just by deciding not to settle. Every breakthrough you have is a blueprint for someone else. Every obstacle you overcome is a testimony that gives someone else courage. Every time you refuse to give up, someone watching quietly decides to keep going too. The impact of your growth is bigger than you, and when you understand that, it changes the way you approach every challenge. Challenges stop being about your comfort and start being about your calling. Here's something most people miss. When you commit to becoming the best version of yourself, you naturally attract opportunities to serve at a higher level. People seek you out for guidance, for mentorship, for leadership. Why? Because growth is magnetic. Discipline is magnetic. Excellence is magnetic. People are drawn to those who refuse mediocrity. And when they're drawn to you, it creates opportunities to pour into their lives. That's when you realize that your journey was never just about you. It was always about becoming strong enough, wise enough, courageous enough to help someone else along the way. But let me give you a challenge. Don't wait until you feel ready. to make an impact. The best version of yourself is revealed through the process of serving while you're still growing. Don't underestimate the power of your story, even if it's still unfolding. Someone right now doesn't need your perfection. They need your progress. They need to see someone who's in the fight, who's working through the struggle, who's still chasing the dream, even when it's hard. That kind of authenticity inspires more deeply than flawless success ever could. Here's the hook that will shift everything for you. The highest form of becoming your best self is not just personal mastery. It's multiplying your influence. When you rise, you lift others with you. When you grow, you create room for others to grow. When you succeed, you open doors for others to step through. And when you live in such a way that your growth blesses others, you don't just leave success behind, you leave a legacy. So the real question is not just, who do I want to become? The real question is, whose life will be changed because I chose to become the best version of myself? That question will fuel you when you feel tired. It will motivate you when you feel like quitting. It will remind you that your greatness is bigger than your comfort, bigger than your fears, and bigger than your limitations. The best version of you is waiting, but so are the countless lives that will be impacted because you decided to rise. So here's my challenge to you today. Stop waiting for the perfect time to change. Stop waiting for someone to give you permission to grow. Stop waiting for circumstances to be easy. Your best self is waiting on the other side of your decision. If you want to know how to become the best version of yourself, the answer is simple but powerful. Decide today that you will no longer settle for less than the life God created you to live. Step into your purpose, embrace your potential, and live in your power. Because when you become the best version of yourself, you don't just change your life, you change the lives of everyone around you. And the world is waiting for you to show up